Make a habit of empathy, to recognize ourselves in each other.
What can you do then? It sounds like if you try to do it with will, that you're kind of like undercutting, you're not really being empathic. So what is the steps to deepening that empathy?
Yeah, you know, Martin Buber, who was an existential philosopher, he called himself a cultural anthropologist. He was one of the true brilliant minds of the 20th century, taught at Hebrew University in Jerusalem for many years, and came over to the United States at times to interact with people like Carl Rogers, perhaps the greatest psychologist of the 20th century. They had a dialogue on one occasion. And one of the things Buber said about moving into what he called the I-thou relationship. He said we have a lot of I-it relationships where we treat one another sort of as objects. They're real surfacey kinds of connections. And he said that's okay, you know, we can't have an I-thou relationship with everybody we run across. But he also said that in the I-thou relationship, we can't make it happen. In fact, if you set out to make it happen, like you were saying, there's a sense in which the trying to will it or force it or technique it so that it happens will militate against it happening. You can be pretty sure it won't happen, in fact. But what he said was, when will, the desire, that's what he meant, when will and grace, we're not totally in control. He's not talking necessarily about anything religious there, but he's using sort of a spiritual word, grace. It has to sort of happen. But also what we've learned is that while we can't force it, and we do have to depend on grace or it just happening at times, what we can do is we can set up a situation in which it's more likely to occur. And one of the things I've said in some of my own writings is, for therapists, especially psychotherapists and counselors, it's very important that we do our own heart work. Rilke, the great German poet, once said, "Work of sight is done, now do heart work." And I think that's a great slogan for all of us perhaps, but certainly for psychotherapists. Do heart work, because I can only reach you. I can only reach as deeply into your heart as the place I come from in my own heart. So if I come from a place that's technique-y or surface, or I'm trying to control you or make something happen, you will sense that. And it's likely that nothing very significant will happen. But if I tune in to my own heart and soul, and I'm familiar with the depths of my own being, and then I come from that place in my response to you, it's likely that something a little deeper in you might resonate like a tuning fork to that, and that what happens then is this field is created between us, where there's a common resonance. The tuning fork in you is going off at the same level the tuning fork in me is going off, and something begins to happen between us, and we know that we've suddenly transcended whatever was happening, and we've begun to touch at the heart level.